I was standing alone in a desert, stripped of everything I thought made me powerful. No followers, no camera, no comfort. Just silence, heat, and the haunting echo of my own breath. I had gone there to escape the noise, but instead I found something deeper than silence. I found the dark energy that had been inside me all along. It wasn't evil. It wasn't even negative. It was raw, primal, pure power that had never been claimed. And in that moment I realized we've been lied to about darkness. We've been taught to fear it, suppress it, avoid it. But what if the very thing we were taught to hate is the key to our greatest destiny? You see, every one of us carries dark energy. Not darkness as in evil, but darkness as in depth, mystery, potential not yet expressed. It's the rage you never allowed yourself to feel. It's the grief you buried because they told you to be strong. It's the desire you repressed because someone said it was too much. But energy never disappears. It waits, it coils. It becomes the shadow. And your shadow is not your enemy, it's your unused power. It's the part of you that remembers how limitless you truly are. And if you learn how to work with it, not against it, you begin to transmute it into fuel, into fire, into focus. Most people try to manifest from love and light alone. They say, just think positive, just visualize abundance. And yes, that works to a point. But have you ever wondered why your manifestations stall, why your vision boards gather dust, why you keep hitting the same emotional walls? It's because you're trying to build your divine destiny using only half your power. You're ignoring the dragon that lives in your belly. You're ignoring the parts of you that have teeth, claws, and thunder. But your destiny doesn't want your politeness, it wants your wholeness. It wants you awake. And that means making peace with your dark energy and learning how to wield it.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
Let me ask you something deep. What is the one emotion you're most afraid to feel? Is it rage? Is it shame? Is it rejection? That's your gateway. That's the door. Because behind that emotion is a massive surge of energy that you've been leaking your whole life. Every time you suppress it, it doesn't go away, it just controls you from the shadows. It shows up as procrastination, as self-sabotage, as that mysterious heaviness that keeps you small. But if you turn toward it, if you sit with it, if you say, "Teach me," everything starts to change. You stop being afraid of yourself, and that's when you become unstoppable. In my own journey, I had to confront the part of me that was addicted to proving my worth. The part that was terrified of being seen as a failure. I had built a life around success, but underneath it, I was terrified of stillness. Because in stillness, I'd have to feel it all. But when I finally let myself rage, cry, scream not at others, but into the earth, into the void, I didn't fall apart. I remembered who I was. I felt my spine straighten. I felt my breath deepen. I felt power return to places I didn't know were numb. And from that moment on, I stopped chasing destiny. I started becoming it. When you use your dark energy consciously, you become a master of reality. You no longer manifest from desperation. You manifest from embodiment. You walk into a room and shift the frequency without saying a word. You speak your vision and people feel it in their bones. Not because you're louder, but because you're real, because you're integrated. You carry both the light of your soul and the gravity of your shadow. And that combination, that's divine magnetism. That's what bends timelines. That's what calls in the impossible. But to do this, you must stop judging yourself. You must stop labeling emotions as good or bad. Start seeing them as energy, nothing more. Anger is not bad, it's a boundary. Sadness is not weakness, it's a release. Fear is not failure, it's a sign you're near the edge of transformation. When you stop fighting your internal weather, you become the sky. You hold it all. And that's when your manifestation power multiplies. Because now, you're no longer a fragmented being trying to build a perfect life. You're a whole being, radiating truth. And truth is magnetic. Now let's talk process. Because this isn't just philosophy, it's practice. First, find a space where you can be absolutely raw. No masks, no filters, just you and your inner chaos. Sit with your journal or your breath and ask, what part of me have I been avoiding? Let it speak. Let it scream. Let it say the things you were taught not to say. Don't judge, don't fix, just feel. This is the purification. This is the alchemy. Because when you give your dark energy a voice, it stops whispering destruction in the background and starts becoming your greatest ally. Second, move the energy. Don't just feel it, move it. Dance it, scream it, run it, cry it. Your body is the temple where manifestation happens. If you try to manifest from a frozen nervous system, you'll block your own power. But when you move your body with awareness, you unlock trapped energy. You release the pressure that's been holding your dreams hostage. And you begin to channel that same energy into your vision. It's not about being pretty, it's about being present. Let your body become the bridge between shadow and soul. Third, set your intention from your whole self. Not just the self that wants peace, but the self that wants to conquer. Not just the self that wants to serve, but the self that wants to win. You are all of it. Stop choosing between being spiritual and being powerful. You can be both. You must be both. Because your divine destiny is not found in becoming less, it's found in becoming more. More honest, more embodied, more fiercely aligned with your truth. That's what changes reality. Let me ask you something no one else will. What would your life look like if you stopped trying to be good and started trying to be true? What would you build if you stopped apologizing for your fire? What would you create if you believed that even your rage had purpose? These are not just questions, they're keys. They unlock the doors to your divine timeline. They activate the version of you that doesn't just dream but dares. Because that version of you already exists. They've already written the book, built the empire, loved without apology. They've already embodied the divine destiny you're craving. And they did it not by avoiding their darkness, but by owning it, by sitting in the fire until it became light, by using every wound as a weapon for wisdom. And now they're waiting, not in the future, but in the now, waiting for you to say yes, waiting for you to stop running from your own power. And now I say to you, this is your invitation. This is the moment you stop hiding from your shadow and start harvesting it. This is the moment you stop trying to be light and start embodying the whole spectrum of your being. The world doesn't need more perfect people. It needs more real ones. It needs more warriors of wholeness. And you are one of them. You always have been. You just forgot. But now you remember. The moment you remember who you are, the entire frequency of your body begins to shift. Maybe you've already felt it: a sudden fire in your gut, a tightening in your chest, a surge behind your eyes that says something is waking up. That's not just emotion. That's activation. That's your dark energy beginning to stir, beginning to rise, beginning to ask you one thing: will you finally let me serve you? Because here's the truth: most people never realize your destiny is not found in escaping your darkness, but in alchemizing it. It's not about taming the beast. It's about riding it into the kingdom you were born to claim. We've been trained to tuck away the parts of ourselves that don't fit the mold. We hide our anger behind politeness, our ambition behind humility, our intensity behind fake smiles. And then we wonder why our reality feels hollow, why our manifestations feel delayed, why we keep attracting situations that diminish our light. It's because we're leaking power. Every time you suppress your shadow, you give your energy to someone else's version of who you're supposed to be. But when you reclaim it, when you say, "I will no longer betray myself just to be accepted," you begin to radiate a frequency that reality can't ignore. Dark energy is not chaos, it's concentrated creation. It's the part of you that's been forged in rejection, humiliation, heartbreak, and loss. It's the version of you that has walked through fire, died many ego deaths, and still whispers, "We're not done yet." And that version of you carries codes of transformation, of resilience, of divine rebellion. When you stop denying your dark energy and start listening to it, you begin to access a level of clarity that feels like lightning in your bones. You don't just think your destiny, you feel it. You embody it. You become it. Let me tell you something wild. The universe doesn't respond to your words, it responds to your wiring. You can script affirmations all day, but if your nervous system is still wired for survival, your reality will reflect struggle. You can post about abundance, but if you're still carrying shame from the past, your field will block the blessing. This is why shadow work is not optional for manifestors, it's the foundation. You have to go into the pain, not to relive it, but to reclaim the energy that got trapped there. You have to look at the parts of your story that still hurt and ask, "What power did I leave behind here?" And when you retrieve it, you rise. In my own journey, I had to confront the version of me that was angry at the world, angry at the people who misunderstood me, angry at the systems that tried to silence my voice, angry at a God I thought had abandoned me. And for years, I tried to meditate that anger away. I tried to high vibe over it, but all I did was bury it deeper. It wasn't until I let myself rage not at anyone, but in sacred space that it began to shift. When I screamed in the forest, when I punched the pillow, when I cried until I collapsed, I didn't lose control. I regained it, because that energy wasn't bad. It was just unexpressed. And once I gave it movement, it gave me back my power. Now you might be wondering, how do I know if I've been suppressing my dark energy? The signs are everywhere. Chronic fatigue, creative blocks, random anxiety, people-pleasing, imposter syndrome, emotional numbness. These are not flaws. These are signals. They're your soul's way of saying, there's power here, but it's trapped. And when you feel the fear rise about going into that shadow, remember, the fear is the threshold. It's the guardian at the gate of your transformation. And the only way past it is through it. So let's go deeper. Let's talk about how to use your dark energy. First, you must claim it. That means naming it without shame. Say it out loud. I am angry. I feel jealous. I want more. I'm tired of pretending. The moment you name the energy, you begin to transmute it. You take it out of the unconscious and into awareness. And awareness is the first light of alchemy. It doesn't mean you have to act on every feeling, but you do have to honor it. Because what you repress, you give power to. But what you witness, you reclaim. Second, you must give the energy a direction. Dark energy without direction becomes destruction. That's why so many powerful people self-sabotage. They don't know where to send their fire. So take that rage and pour it into your purpose. Take that grief and lace it into your art. Take that betrayal and use it to build boundaries. This is the sacred art of redirection. You're not denying the energy, you're repurposing it. You're turning your wounds into weapons of wisdom. And suddenly, what was once too heavy to carry becomes the fuel that carries you. Third, you integrate. Integration means you stop separating your spiritual self from your human self. You stop pretending that you have to be light and loving all the time. You realize that duality is not a flaw, it's a feature. You are both shadow and light, warrior and healer, chaos and calm. And when you own that, you become whole. And wholeness is what makes your manifestations land faster. Because the universe doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you're ready to hold. And when you've integrated your dark energy, you're ready to hold more. More love, more money, more mission for you. Let me ask you a question that will shake you. Who would you be if you no longer feared your own power? Really think about that. If you weren't scared of being too much, too loud, too intense, what would you create? Who would you love? What would you walk away from forever? That version of you is not a fantasy. That version is the one you were always meant to become. The only thing standing in the way is the part of you that's still trying to be small enough to be accepted. And that part, it's ready to be released. Here's a practice that changed my life. Every morning I ask my shadow, what do you need me to hear today? And I listen. I don't try to fix it. I don't judge it. I just let it speak. And some days it says, I'm tired of hiding. Other days it says, I want to burn everything down. And instead of panicking, I say, thank you for your truth. Let's find a way to express this with grace. And we do. I channel it into writing, into coaching, into my breath work, into my movement. And every time I do, I feel more alive, more powerful, more me. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be liberated. And liberation means walking into the parts of yourself that scare you and saying, I'm not afraid of you anymore. It means looking at your anger and saying, you are sacred. It means holding your grief and whispering, you are not weakness, you are depth. Do you understand how much power is waiting for you in the places you've been running from your entire life? Do you see how your destiny has been trying to reach you, but can't find you because you're still hiding? It's time to come home. not just to your light, but to your darkness. Because your dark energy is not a mistake. It's a map to the power that was buried beneath shame, to the voice that was silenced by fear, to the truth that was hidden by conditioning. And when you follow that map, you don't just find your destiny, you become it. You don't just manifest miracles, you embody them. And every room you walk into after that, it changes. Because you've changed. So now I ask you again, are you willing to stop resisting your shadow and start reclaiming it? Are you ready to stop pretending and start possessing your full power? Because the world doesn't need more people trying to be good. It needs more people willing to be true. And that truth, it lives in your dark energy, waiting, watching, ready to rise. There comes a moment in every spiritual journey when the seeker must stop seeking and start embodying. Everything you've learned, everything you've survived, every shadow you've faced, it all leads to the same threshold. The moment where you stop asking for permission to be powerful and you decide to be. You've walked through the fire. You've met your rage, your grief, your confusion, your chaos. Now what? Now you build. You build the life that only a soul forged in darkness could build. Because your divine destiny isn't built from light alone, it's built from the ashes of everything you thought would break you. That's the secret no one tells you. Your dark energy, once integrated, becomes divine infrastructure. It becomes clarity where there was once doubt, direction where there was once fear, discipline where there was once chaos. The same pain that once made you feel powerless becomes the fuel that makes you undeniable. When you stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start hearing the whisper, "Now build with it," you become a creator of timelines, not a survivor of them. You realize that your story was never about the pain, it was about the alchemy. You weren't broken. You were initiated. But here's where most people get it wrong. They think integration is a one-time thing. That once you faced your shadow, you're done. No. Integration is a lifestyle. It's a daily devotion to truth. It's waking up every day and asking, where am I hiding? Where am I withholding? Where am I still afraid to be fully seen? Because your destiny is not a destination, it's a frequency. And if you want to live there, you must match it. Not just with your thoughts, but with your whole being. Your words, your choices, your embodiment. This is where embodiment becomes your spiritual practice. Not just meditation, not just journaling, but living as the version of you who has already manifested it. That means walking like them, speaking like them, eating like them, loving like them. Not faking it, becoming it. Because the universe doesn't respond to your hope. It responds to your coherence. When your nervous system, your beliefs, your emotions, and your actions are aligned, manifestation becomes inevitable. Not because you forced it, but because you became the version of you that already has it. Let me ask you something that will challenge everything you've ever believed about manifestation. Who benefits from you staying small? Who gains when you suppress your dark energy? Who feels safe when you shrink your truth? And are you willing to stop prioritizing their comfort over your own calling? These are not rhetorical questions. These are the gates. And on the other side of those gates is the version of you that remembers. Not just your vision, but your power to make it real. You see, your dark energy is not just emotional, it's magnetic. It's what makes people lean in when you speak. It's what makes opportunities find you when you're not even looking. It's what makes your work resonate so deeply that people say, "I don't know why, but I feel you." That's not strategy. That's shadow integration. That's what happens when you stop trying to be inspiring and just start being real. Because in a world full of facades, truth is electric, and your truth. It lives in your darkness just as much as your light. Now, let's talk about spiritual sovereignty. Because you can't manifest your divine destiny while still outsourcing your power. Not to gurus, not to systems, not to timelines. You have to become the source. You have to stop waiting for signs and start becoming the signal. That means making decisions from your knowing, even when no one else understands. That means trusting your body before your logic. That means honoring your soul's timing, not society's. Do you have the courage to follow your own rhythm, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's lonely, even when it's terrifying? Because this is the paradox of the path. The more you return to your truth, the more you'll disrupt the lies around you. Relationships may fall away. Identities may dissolve. Structures may crumble. But what's left is real. And only what is real can hold your destiny. You don't need a perfect life to manifest. You need an authentic one. Because manifestation is not about what you get, it's about who you become in the process. And who you become is forged in the fire of your own radical self-honesty. So how do you stay grounded in this power? You build rituals that honor both your light and your shadow. You build altars not just to your goals, but to your grief. You celebrate your wins and you sit with your wounds. You build community that reflects your truth, not your trauma. You surround yourself with people who don't just tolerate your intensity, they celebrate it. You stop asking, "Am I too much?" and start asking, "Where have I been too little?" And every day you walk a little bolder, a little clearer, a little more like the divine force you truly are. And when you fall, and you will, you don't collapse into shame. You rise into deeper compassion. You don't make it mean you're failing. You make it mean you're refining. Because failure is not the opposite of destiny, it's the refining fire of it. Every misstep, every delay, every heartbreak, it's all data. It's all coding your next level. The only way you lose is if you forget the truth, that your dark energy is never your enemy, it's your engine. And now I offer you this final question not as a conclusion, but as a portal. What would your life look like if your shadow was no longer a secret, but a scepter? What if the very thing you were most ashamed of became the foundation of your empire? What if your greatest pain wasn't a punishment, but a prophecy? And what if your divine destiny is not waiting in the light, but in the place where darkness and divinity meet? Because that's where real power lives. That's where miracles are born. In the space where you are no longer trying to be good, you are simply being true. You are no longer manifesting from your mind, you are manifesting from your whole self. And when you do that, the universe doesn't just respond, it rearranges. So now, take a breath. Feel your darkness, feel your light, and realize you are not here to choose between them. You are here to fuse them, to become the living proof that shadow and soul can coexist in one powerful, beautiful, unstoppable human.